Lately, I've been finding my way back into the rhythm of writing. Some mornings the words come easy, but others less so. Sometimes I'm just distracted by life or laundry or my own doubts. But that's part of the journey, isn't it? Today, I'm sharing what my creative flow looks like behind the scenes. The cozy writing sessions, the little wins that keep me going. So if you've been struggling to find your own creative rhythm this November, remember, you are not alone. Welcome to the Rough Draft Diaries, episode 2. Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Melanie and I write all things cozy. So as always with these Rough Draft Diaries, I like to start with a weekend update because I don't generally record things on the weekend because that's just time to relax and have fun and just be in the moment. So over the weekend, I did 0 words and 0 writing. I woke up on Saturday and I was not feeling great whatsoever. That was very much I'm going to stay in bed and do precisely nothing kind of day. And you know what? We all have those days and it's fine. During these challenges of trying to write whatever words you're trying to write in a month, the temptation is just to keep pushing through because getting to that total becomes the most important thing. And sometimes it can become so important that at the expense of your own health, including mental health, and your own need for rest, you just keep pushing through. We don't do that here. I don't do that. If I need rest, I take rest because that is the most important thing, because you will not be able to return to your writing and continue if you push yourself to such a point that everything falls apart. You become too unwell to write and then you are forced to stop. If you do not choose to take rest will force itself upon you at a very inconvenient moment. Ask me how I know. So there were no words written on the weekend. However, there were words written on Monday and my current total stands at 7,030, which is far more than I thought it would be at this point. I had originally set a target of 10,000 words, which is the Emerald tier on the Rough Draft Challenge, and I'm obviously going to surpass that by way before the end of the month. I'm now aiming toward the next tier up, the Sapphire tier, which is 25,000, but I would settle for something in between the two. But good to have an aim, and I'm going to try and get as close to that as I can. Today I'm feeling better, but a little bit of seasonal allergies going on, despite the fact it's November. Still some seasonal allergies, so I don't feel 100%, but good enough to get some words out at least. The other weekend update is I finished this book, which is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This book, it is a beefy book. I don't think V.E. Schwab writes short books at all. And this took me several weeks to get through. It's from the library, as you can see. I had to renew it, I think, twice in order to get through it. When I first started reading this, I was really, really into it. But as time wore on, there were some things about it I wasn't as into. Like, I love the story. I love what it's saying about, female rage and everything about that and the different characters across the different times. I get why these women, the two women from the older time periods, the 15th century and Victorian England times, they had very few options. All they could do was to get married and have children, and that was about it. That was all one could do in such times. So when they offered the chance, this is spoilers here, so if you don't want to know anything more about this book, skip ahead. So when they offered the chance essentially to become vampires and thus have a freedom that they would otherwise not know, they seize it. I mean, why not? It's like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life married to this man who is of zero interest to me, or I can have a life where I just am immortal, can do as I please, so on and so forth. Totally get this whole freedom aspect that is a key part of this book, and the kind of going against the system. Love it, love it, love it. What I didn't love was the character who is basically the kind of latest character. It's set in 2019. Every time it came to her chapter, there was this whole backstory about how she had come to be where she was. She's Scottish, and we start off with her in the States at Harvard, starting her degree. I mean, this whole backstory about her and her sister. The minute I read the story, about 3 paragraphs in, I knew exactly where it was going. That is where it went. And it just became very laborious to read. I'll admit, toward the middle of the book and onwards, I largely skipped over it. I would skim it in case there was something important, but it ended up just how I thought it would. It just didn't need to be that long, in my personal opinion. I get how what happened to her sister informs that character, but I don't think we needed this kind of narrative every single time it was this character's turn in the story. Just my personal opinion, of course. Some people might like that kind of longer narrative part of the story, but that bit was not for me. So whilst I enjoyed this, Addie LaRue is still top tier V. Schwab for me. I will always go back to that one. That is just my preference. So I would highly recommend that you read this. Like, it's amazing. V. Schwab, super talented. Always recommend it. And then I would love to hear what you think if you have read this book. If you want to share that down in the comments. But yeah, glad I read it and glad I finished it, but not a reread, not something I want to purchase for my own bookshelf. Today's plan, I want to aim for as close to 1,250 words as possible. I've kind of divided the 25k by the 20 days that I aim to write in any given month. And we will see how close we can get. As I said, I feel a little bit sniffly with some seasonal allergies, but not so bad that I couldn't write anything at all. So let's see what we can do. Good morning. I have just returned from my local library because I needed to return that copy of Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and I also wanted to drop off a copy of my own book. Here in Buckinghamshire, they do not have the capacity to purchase books that are self-published. It's something to do with whatever company they use to buy their library stock. It's just not a possibility, but they are always open to receiving donations. I just checked with the kind of Central Library Service because I did not want to turn up and be turned away, so to speak. I did this previously with my non-fiction book, the Cozy Living Collection. It was fine then, and it was still fine today. So yeah, it's just something that I like to do personally, is to have a copy of my book in my own local county library system, obviously it would be lovely if they could purchase it and that I'd make, you know, probably a very small amount of royalties, in all honesty. But if not, I am more than happy to donate a copy, and just to know that there are people out there in my local community that are enjoying a book by me and a local author. That is just one of those little wins for me personally of being an indie author. I know that, you know, obviously the main driving force that many people become authors of any kind is to make money, which is fine, absolutely fine. You know, I am also here to, you know, make money, but it's not my number one driving force. You know, there are various groups out there, like mastermind groups, that are focused on people becoming like 6, 7 and figures and beyond authors, and they are just absolutely churning out the books even more than Nora Roberts in order to reach that goal. And as I said, absolutely nothing wrong with that goal at all. But it's just something I was thinking about lately, was what is it that I really want to achieve with my writing, and also having a channel here on YouTube. And for me, it's more about community. I absolutely love when someone comments on a video that they've enjoyed something I've said, or they're giving me an update on their own writing and what they are up to. I love that. That is what lights me up. Yes, I also love to look at my KDP sales report and see that someone has bought a copy of my book. But obviously, with your kind of first book or your first fiction book, you know, unless you happen to strike at just the right time and you have maybe a lot of ARC readers or a lot of promotion behind you, it's not likely to be your best ever book sales. Like, it's likely to sit quite low, and what you essentially need to do is keep writing, and eventually the more books you have, you'll get more read through. It'll be worth your time to promote it because people will have a next book they can go to. It's about time, and just basically knowing that you're unlikely to have a runaway bestseller with your first book. Now, it could happen, you know, it could absolutely happen. I'm sure it has happened to some people, but the rest of us are kind of just plodding along, writing the next book, knowing that over time it will amount to more sales, more read through, etc. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that, because in the midst of, you know, writing all these words, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Do I just want to write? There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you just want to write and you don't even want to publish. That's fantastic. Write for yourself. If you're not writing for yourself, at least on some level, I feel like this could be something that turns very laborious very quickly. Even if you want to make it to those dizzying heights of money, if you're not writing for yourself, it's going to feel like an uphill struggle to get there. My plan for the day is not to actually add to my word count. I need to update my story Bible, which is just this one. I have a lot of things, you might be able to read this, you might not, that I need to work out. Currently, my manuscript has a lot of placeholders, things that I need to name or describe in more detail. For me, that uses a different part of my brain, and if I sit there and try and work on it at the point of writing, it throws me off, it takes me out of the flow, and it becomes that much harder to get back into it. So I'll just continue to write and leave things like insert name here, insert description here, whatever, just little placeholders. And then I like to have a separate session like right now where I decide what those names, descriptions, items, whatever it may be, how and what they are going to look like and be described as, and then I can go back and add them in. It's just not something I can do all at the same time. So I prefer just to stay in the flow, get the actual story written, and then do the embellishments later, so to speak. So I'm going to go ahead and get stuck into updating this. I have a few more additional details about the characters I've already established that need to be added so I don't forget about them. And some new pages with some of the new magic that I have written, which I'm very excited to add in. This is your reminder that your words, if you so wish, don't just have to be the words of your manuscript. I know some people do include the words of, say, outlines or plans or notes. I'm not going to be doing that. I just want the words to be solely manuscript words, but you do you. But right now, let's get into the Story Bible and add in all the details I need to move forward with my manuscript. Story Bible is all updated. It was a really good session. I was able to come up with many kind of answers to the things that I have been trying to formulate or describe or whatever. I feel like I can now go ahead when I'm working on my manuscript tomorrow and fill in the blanks, and also just have a much better idea of this world and how it's looking and how it's feeling as well. It just brings it more to life to have all of the descriptions in there. So that is probably going to be the end of my writing related activities for the day. I do have some admin things that I need to get on with. I have a newsletter that I need to send out on Friday that still needs to be finished, but I was essentially waiting to finish this vlog, upload it, and then I'll have the link I can put in, because not everyone on my newsletter list watches YouTube and maybe they don't know, and I thought it would just be really fun to add in that I'm doing these diaries so people can choose to watch if that is what they'd like to do. There's also going to be a link to a promotion for some cozy fantasy books by other indie authors. So if you are in need of more cozy fantasy in your life, make sure you are subscribed to my newsletter. The link is down below. I fully 100% believe in sharing the work of other authors because everybody wins. So if you're looking for more cozy fantasy books to add to your Kindle, your Kobo, your bookshelf, go sign up for that newsletter down below, and that will be coming out on Friday. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. If this is your first time here and you enjoyed it, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button down below. I upload a topic video every Tuesday and a vlog behind the scenes every Thursday. And for the month of November, all the vlogs will be focusing on me doing the rough draft challenge, trying to get as close to 25,000 words written this month as possible. Bye.